You know I came through with the fuego. You know I came through. Hey, you know I came through. You know I came through with the fuego. You know I came through. Hey, you know I came through. Nowadays I cannot lay low. I cannot lay low.
Yes, hello ABM students. So, welcome to our business math subject. And for today's video lesson, we will learn about ratio and proportion. So, we are now in week 3 to 4 of our learning modules. So, these are the learning competencies for the week. So, for week 3, identify the different kinds of proportions and write examples of real-life situations for each. And for week 4, solve problems involving direct, inverse, and partitive proportion. Ratios. Ratios are comparisons made between two sets of numbers. For example, there are 8 girls and 7 boys in a class. So the ratio of girls to boys is 8 to 7. Ratios are used every day. They are used for, so in traveling, miles per hour, the cost of items per pound or gallon, so in buying items, and for hourly rate of pay, so for rentals, and many more. There are 3 ways to write ratios. So, write the ratio using the word 2 between the two numbers being compared. For example, there are 8 girls and 5 boys in my class. What is the ratio of girls to boys? So, the ratio is 8 girls to 5 boys or 8 to 5. Write a ratio using colon between the two numbers being compared. For example, there are 3 apples and 4 orange in the basket. What is the ratio of apples to orange? The ratio is 3 apples to orange or 3 is to 4. Or write a ratio as a fraction. For example, Hunter and Brandon were playing basketball. Brandon scored 5 baskets and Hunter scored 6 baskets. What was the ratio of baskets Hunter scored to the baskets Brandon scored? So we are asked to write the ratio between the score of Hunter, which is 6, to the score of Brandon, which is 5. So the ratio is 6 baskets to 5 baskets or 6 over 5. Okay, so try this. Let's try this. Write the ratio in 3 different ways. There are 13 boys and 17 girls in ABM 11. In ABM 11, find the ratio of boys to the girls in ABM 11. So 13 to 17 or 13 is to 17 or by fraction 13 over 17. So we have rules for solving ratio problems. When writing ratios, the number should be written in order in which the problem asks for them. So for example, there were 4 girls and 7 boys at the birthday party. What is the ratio of girls to boys? So we are asked to find the ratio of girls to boys. So there were 4 girls and 7 boys. So the ratio is 4 girls to 7 boys or 4 girls is to 7 boys, or 4 girls over 7 boys. So, try this class. Solve and write in all three forms. The Panthers played 15 games. This season, they won 13 games. What is the ratio of games won to games played? Okay, so the number of games won is 13. So, and the number of games played is 15. So, the ratio is 13 to 15, or 13 is to 15, or by fraction 13 over 15. Okay, another one. Amanda's basketball team won 7 games and lost 5. What is the ratio of games lost to games won? So the number of games lost was was 5, and the number of games won is 7. So the ratio is 5 to 7, or 5 is to 7, or 5 over 7. So remember class that we can reduce ratios. So ratios can be reduced without changing their relationship. So for example, the ratio of 2 boys to 4 girls can be written into 1 boy to 2 girls. So remember class that all ratios must be written in lowest terms. So here are the steps. So step 1, read the word problem and then set up the ratio. So for example, you scored 40 answers correct out of 45 problems on a test. Write the ratio of correct answers to total questions in lowest form. So step 1, read the problem and what does it want to know? So we are to write the ratio of correct answers out of the total questions. So the correct answer is 40, and the total problems in a test is 45. So the ratio is 40 to 45, or 40 is to 45, or 40 over 45. Okay, so remember that we should reduce the ratio if necessary. So reduce means to break down a fraction or ratio into the lowest form possible. So to reduce is writing in smaller number, so operation will always be division. So when having to reduce ratios, it is better to set up the ratio in vertical form or in fraction form. So for example, 40 to 45 can be written as 40 over 45. And then look at the numbers in the ratios. What one number can you divide both numbers by? So we can get the factors. So the factors of 40 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 20, and 40. And the factors of 45 is 1, 3, 5, 9, 15, and 45. So we should write in lowest term by dividing the numerator and the denominator by the common factor for both of our numerator and denominator. So the GCF, or the greatest common factor for both 40 and 45, is 5. So reducing it into lowest term, divide 40 by 5, and then divide 45 by 5, then we will get 8 over 9. So another example, solve each problem, remember to reduce. There are 26 black cards in a deck of playing cards. If there are 52 cards in a deck, what is the ratio of black cards to the deck of cards? So, step 1 is read the problem, and then step 2 is set up the ratio. So, there are 26 black cards to 52 cards. So, that is the ratio. And reducing it, we should identify the greatest common factor between 26 and 52. And the GCF is 26, so we have to divide the numerator and the denominator by 26. So the answer is 1/2. So the ratio between black cards over the deck of cards is 1/2. Okay, another example. Kelsey has been reading Hunger Games for class. She read 15 chapters in 3 days. What is the ratio of chapters read to the number of days she read? So, the ratio is 15 chapters to 3 days, or 15 over 3, and reducing it, the common factor is 3. So, 15 divided by 3, that's 5, and 3 divided by 3, and that's 1. So, the ratio is 5 over 1. So, we have to remember that when 1 is on the bottom, it must remain there. If the 1 is dropped, there is no longer a ratio. Okay, so next topic is proportions. What is proportions? Proportions are two equal ratios of values. So for example, 1 over 4 is equal to 4 over 16. So are these ratios saying the same thing? So are these ratios are in proportion? So how to determine true proportions? So to determine a true proportion, we have to cross multiply. So write the ratio first in fraction form. So for example, 4 over 5 equals 20 over 5. So to check if it's a true proportion, therefore, the product of the extremes should be equal to the product of the means. Or we have to cross multiply. So 4 times 25, that's 100. And 5 times 20 is 100. So when the cross products are equal, therefore, it is a true proportion. So, try this class. You can pause the video and answer this. And then later, the answer will be revealed. So, the direction is to solve to see if each problem is a true proportion. So number 1, 3 over 5 equals 15 over 25. Number 2, 6 over 8 equals 57 over 76. And number 3, 7 over 12 equals 37 over 60. Okay, so these are the answers. So for number 1, we will just cross multiply it. So 3 times 25, that's 75. And 15 times 5 is 75. So number 1 is a true proportion. So for number 2, 6 times 76 is 456. And 57 times 8 is 456. So number 2 is also a true proportion. So for number 3, 7 times 60 is 420. And 37 times 12 is 444. So number 3 is not a true proportion. Okay, next, solving proportions with variables. So what is a variable? A variable is any letter that takes place of a missing number or information. So for example, Eric rode his bicycle a total of 52 miles in 4 hours. Riding at the same rate, how far can he travel in 7 hours? So first, look for the two sets of ratios to make up a proportion. So we have 52 miles over 4 hours. So we can have 52 miles in 4 hours. So we can use this ratio in solving the problem. And then next, the problem states how far can he travel in 7 hours. So the problem is missing the miles. Therefore, the miles becomes the variable. So this is the second ratio, n miles over 7 hours. So setting up the proportion, we have 52 over 4 equals n over 7. So note that class, the order of the ratio does matter. So when solving proportions, we have to follow this rule. So first thing is to cross multiply. And then divide both sides by the number connected to the variable. And then check if the answer is correct or if it makes a true proportion. So we have 52 over 4 equals n over 7. So cross multiply. So 4 times n, so that's 4n. Then 52 times 7. Okay. And then to eliminate the variable on this side for next to n, so divide both sides by 4. So we have 364 over n, and this one will be cancelled. So the answer is 91 miles. Okay? So therefore, he could travel 91 miles. So to check if the answer is correct, so replace 91 by n and then cross multiply. So we will get 364 on both sides. Therefore, the answer is correct. Okay, another example. Justin's car uses 40 gallons of gas to drive 250 miles. At this rate, approximately how many gallons of gas will he need for a trip of 600 miles? So first step is set up the proportion. So 40 gallons to the number of miles drove. So that's 40 gallons over 250 miles. And then how many gallons of gas? So letting that be equal to x. So x gallons over 600 miles. So cross multiplying, we have 40 times 600. That is 24,000 and 250 times x, that is 250x. Dividing both sides by 250, so 24,000 over 250 is 96. So the answer is 96 gallons of gas he will need for a trip of 600 miles. So to check if the answer is correct, so we just have to cross multiply. Okay, so 40 times 600, that's 2,400, and 96 times 250, that is also 24,000. So the answer is correct. Okay, another example. If a 3-gallon jug of milk costs 9 peso, how many 3 gallons of jugs can be purchased for 45 peso? So setting up the ratio for the first one, so that's 1 over 9. And then for the second one, that's n over 45. And then cross multiply. So we will get 1 times 45, that's 45. And then n times 9, that's 9n. And divide both sides by 9. So we will get n is equal to 5. Therefore, 5 jugs of milk can be purchased for 45 pesos. So checking our proportion, so cross multiply, the answer is correct. Okay, so another one. On Thursday, Karen drove 400 miles in 8 hours at the same speed. How far can she drive in 12 hours? So, setting up our proportion, so 400 miles to 8 hours, so equals, so let the unknown distance, so how far can she drive? So B equal to X miles, so over 12 hours. So cross multiply, we have 400 times 12. Okay, that's 4,800, and then x times 8, so that's 8x. So divide both sides by 8, the answer is 600 miles. Okay, so can you try this, class? You can pause the video and try to answer it. Susie has 2 flower beds in which to plant tulips and daffodils. She wants the proportion of tulips to daffodils to be the same in each bed. Susie plants 10 tulips and 6 daffodils in the first bed. How many tulips will she need for the second bed if she plants 15 daffodils? So you can pause the video and answer it. Okay, so the answer is, so Susie planted 10 tulips is to 6 daffodils. And for the second bed, how many tulips he should she plant if he plant 15 daffodils? So cross multiply. So our ratio is 10 over 6 equals x over 15. So cross multiply 10 times 15, that is 150, and x times 6, that is 6x. And then divide both sides by 6, we will get x equals 25. So checking it, so just cross multiply. So it means that our answer is correct. Okay, so next topic is different kinds of proportion. So we have 3 different kinds of proportion. The first one is direct proportion. The second one is inverse proportion. And the third one is partitive proportion. Okay, so for the first one, direct proportion, if an increase in quantity results to an increase in another quantity, then the two quantities are in direct proportion. This holds true if a decrease in one quantity also results to a decrease in another quantity. So examples are scores to rating, number of kilos of rice to the amount that you will pay, your body size to your uniform, and the number of kilometers you traveled to the number of your pair. So for example, when Mrs. Cruz went to abroad for an educational tour, she noticed that each guide goes along with 3 tourists. If there are 4 guides, how many tourists would they bring around? So the solution is, so 1 guide for 3 tourists. So the ratio is guide per tourist as to guide per tourist. So the ratio of guide per tourist is 1:3, and we are asked if how many tourists can we bring if we have 4 guides. So to get this or to get the answer or to solve the problem, we will just multiply the means and the extreme. So multiply class the inner one, so 3 times 4, that is 12. So equal to 1 times n. So the equation is n equals 12. So the answer is 12. So we can bring 12 tourists. Okay, another example. The exchange rate of peso to a dollar in 2015 is 45 pesos to $1. How much will you get for $650? So how much peso can we get for $650? So this is the solution, 45 to $1. So the proportion is dollar to peso. So that's 1:45. And then equals to the given number of dollars, which is 650, as to n. So multiply the means, 45 times 650 equals 1 times n. Okay, so the equation is n equals 45 times 650. So the answer is 292 times 292.50. Okay, so we can get 292 and 50 cents pesos for $650. Okay, another example. For every 3 meters of bamboo sticks, 5 frames of Christmas lanterns can be made. How many meters are needed to make 20 frames? So the solution is 3 meters to 5 frames. So the given ratio is 3:5. And how many meters of sticks can be made out of 20 frames? So getting the product of the mean, so 5 times n, so 5n as 2 or equals 3 times 20. So our equation is 5n equals 60. So divide both sides by 60, divide both sides by 5, or 20 times 3 divided by 5. So the answer is 12. So there are 12 meters of sticks. Okay, so next is inverse proportion. So if an increase in quantity results to a decrease in another, then the two quantities are in inverse proportion. So this holds true if a decrease in one quantity results to an increase in another quantity. So for example, 3 men can complete a project in 3 weeks. How many men will be needed if the project is to be completed in a week? So the solution is, the given ratio is 3 men in 3 weeks. So 3 men in 3 weeks. And then, how many men is needed if the project is to be completed in a week? So the ratio is n:3 equals 3:1. Okay, so multiplying the means, 3 times 3, and then n times 1, so that's n. So the equation is n equals 9. So the answer is 9. So there are 9 men are needed to complete the project. Next, another example. 20 men can paint a building in 15 days. How many days will it take 30 men to paint the building? So 20 men in 15 days. So that's the given ratio. And then, so question is, how many days will it take for 30 men to paint the same building? So let's write the proportion. So 30 is to 20 equals 15 is to n. So multiplying our means, 20 times 15, and then equals n times 30. So the equation is 30n equals 20 times 15. So divide both sides by 30. So we will have 20 times 15, 300. So divided by 30, that is equal to 10. So the answer is 10 days. Okay, can you try this, class? So you can pause the video and answer it. So the question is, 5 pipes can fill in a tank in 2 hours. In how many hours can one pipe fill the same tank? Okay, so the answer is, the given ratio is 5 pipes in 2 hours. So more pipes is to less pipes, so more hours is to less hours. So the ratio is 5 is to 1 equals n is to 2. So getting the product of the mean, so 1 times n equals 2 times 5. So dividing both sides by 1. So the answer is 10. So the answer is 10 hours. Okay, so next, partitive proportion. So if a given whole is to be divided into several parts, given a specified ratio, partitive proportion is used. So for example, divide 100 into parts of 2 is to 3 is to 5. So the solution is multiply, let x be the number of unit. So we can write this equation, we can solve the problem algebraically. So we write 2x plus 3x plus 5x equals 100. So x will be the value of the common factor, which will be later be multiplied to its parts. So solving for x, we have just add this. So 2x plus 3x plus 5x. So that is 10x. So just copy 100 and divide both sides by 10. So the answer is x equals 10. So to get each part, we will multiply the unit or the common factor to each parts of our partitive ratio. So 2 times 10, so that's 20. 3 times x, or 3 times 10 is 30, and 5x, or 5 times 10 is 50. So these are the three parts. To check if the answer is correct, we can add this, class. And then the sum should be equal to 100. So 30 plus 20 plus 50, that is 100. Or we can use this solution. So add it. So 2 plus 3 plus 5. So that's the number of units. So 10 units divided by the whole part. So 100 over 10. So we'll get 1 unit is equal to 10, and then multiply each unit to each part of the partitive ratio. So 10 times 2, that's 20. 10 times 3, that's 30. And 10 times 5, that is 50. So the answer is 20, 30, and 50. Okay, another one. Ruby, Rose, and Anne are business partners. They agreed to divide their profits into the ratio 1:2:3. How much should each receive if the total profit is 6,000? So here is the solution. So let x be the common factor. So x plus 2x plus 3x equals the total part, which is 6,000. And then add this side. So x plus 2x plus 3x is 6x. And then divide both sides by 6. So the answer is 1,000. So each part, so multiply by the common factor. So 2x or 2 times 1,000 is 2,000 for this part. And then 3 times x or 3 times 1,000 for this part. So the answer is 3,000. Or we can simply add this. This is the alternative solution class. You can simply add this. So how many units in total? So 1 plus 2 plus 3, that is 6 units. And then divide the total part by the number of units. So that is 6. So 6,000 divided by 6. So per unit, we have 1,000. And then multiply to each part. So 1,000 times 1 for the first one. 1,000 times 2 for the second one. And 1,000 times 3 for the third one. Therefore, Ruby will get 1,000, Rose will get 2,000, and Anne will get 3,000. Okay, so can you try this, class? Divide a 72-meter rope into 3. The ratio is 1:2:5. What is the measure of each rope? Okay, have you tried answering it? So add the total number of units. So 1 plus 2 plus 5, that is 8. And then divide it to the total part. To the total, so which is 72. So 72 divided by 8. Then we will get 9 per unit. And then multiply to each part. So 9 times 1, that's 9. 9 times 2, that's 18. And 9 times 5, that's 45. So the answer is 9 meters, 18 meters, and 45 meters. Okay, so that's all for today. Okay, so for our evaluation class or for our exercise, check your understanding, answer this. You can find this in your module in business math. So, or you can pause the video and later I will reveal the answer. Okay, and also answer this for our exercises. Okay, you can pause the video, but you can also find this in your module in business mathematics. And later I will reveal the answer. Okay, so these are the answers. So that's all for today, class. So if you have learned something, just click the subscribe button for the next video, for the upcoming videos. So thank you.